Good morning, everybody, and happy Easter. Well, welcome into this day with Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'd like to take a moment to please ask everyone to take a look at their cell phones and silence them at this time. I've also had a request, if you have a really tall hat, it would be good for the people behind you. Not saying anything, Katie, but anyway. So, whoever you are, wherever you're from, whomever you love, and whatever your faith tradition, you are welcome here. My name is Kate Kinney, and I'm minister here at QUUF. Our worship assistant is Katie Franco, and she just had a magical birthday. Yay. I'd like to begin this service by acknowledging that the water, land, and shorelines here in Port Townsend are the traditional territory of the S'Klallam and Chimichan peoples. We honor and acknowledge our indigenous members and neighbors and vow to help restore and sustain their homelands. As we call in our time together, let us settle our minds, calm our hearts with the ringing of our chime. Great to be together, and I'd like to welcome Pat and Doug Rodgers with Ikue Goldstein, who will now lead us into our call to community, hymn number 61, Lo, the Earth Awakens Again. So please rise in body or spirit. Thank you, Pat, Doug, and Ikue. Please join me now in our chalice lighting words. We light this chalice on this morning of sweet spring, Easter, and Passover. Transformation is open to all, from the butterfly to the human. Transportation is potential. Not quite sure about the sweet morning. A little windy out there. Transformation implies journey, pilgrimage, a crossing over. It is not something we can will upon ourselves or decide that it should happen to us. Rather, it is something that happens to us as a result, for example, of some experience on the journey or of some encounter. It is Gift by Ruth Patterson. Our responsive reading is Rebirth by Alex L. There will be moments when you will bloom fully and then wilt, only to bloom again. I'd now like to welcome Bo Olgren, our Director of Family Ministry. Bo? And Bo invites the children to pick a flower, right?
Good morning, everyone, and happy Easter. After our service today, we're going to have hot cocoa and treats in the sanctuary in Fellowship Hall, or Fellowship Hall, not in here. And then at 11:30, we are going to meet in the north parking lot, and we are going to go over to the golf course where currently our RE committee bunnies are hiding all of our eggs. And so before that, we are going to be celebrating the Flower Communion in RE. And the way that we are going to start that off is that as we sing out the children, they will come up and pick a flower and then go through the archway. So if those of you who are on the aisles will rise in body or spirit to sing out our children, we will sing them to their classes.
Now in peace, may the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace, may the spirit of love surround you everywhere.
Thank you, Bo. What we'd like to do now is acknowledge and welcome those of those of you who are visiting us this morning. If you are online with us, you're invited to say hello in the comment section and tell us your name and where you're from. The chat section can be found below or on the right side of the video when it is out of full screen. If you are attending in person, please rise in body or spirit or raise your hand so we may welcome you. Welcome. Welcome and welcome everyone. We are glad you're with us today. We will now receive the offering, which today goes to COAST. Karen Reel is a founding director and the treasurer of COAST. COAST stands for the Community Outreach Association Shelter Team. She will share a few words. Is she? Okay. Okay. If you'd like to donate to this worthy cause, you have a few options. The ushers will now come among you and receive the offering for those of you in person. For those viewing online, text the amount you'd like to give to the number now showing at the bottom of the screen. Go to the website, QUUF.org, and click on the giving link. Or simply mail a check to QUUF. Just remember to put COAST in the memo line. We will now gratefully receive your offering as we listen to Pat Rogers play Einaudi's Stella del Mattino, honoring Sally Davis's countless beautiful flower arrangements for our service.
Thank you, Ikue. And to Sally, she brings these wonderful flowers every week. Well, where's Tiny? Tiny? Hello? She's having a hard morning. You know, the water's cold and
Hello, everybody. Hi, everyone. Sorry I missed my cue. I'm Tiny Finnegan, your Pledge Campaign Ambassador, and this is my last appearance. Aww. I knew you would be sad about that. I'm here to update you on our Reimagining QUUF Pledge campaign. Brunchapalooza last Sunday, lots of people were there, was such a spectacular success. I feel like I can finally share with you how nervous I've been. As I've told you, I've never been a Pledge ambassador before. Before I accepted the honor, I had to pause. I'll be honest, I had a sinking feeling. I was going to be in uncharted waters. Would people step up to volunteer? Would I be able to create excitement for the campaign and encourage people to pledge without making it seem like I was just spouting off? My goal was to make a splash. With the help of the pledge team, I dove right in. As you can see, people did volunteer with enthusiasm, creativity, and generosity. But that list is actually missing some names. I couldn't even begin to capture the names of all the people who stepped up. Just one example. People who jumped in and moved tables and chairs and cleaned up. Thank you to everyone who helped make Brunchapalooza a huge, huge success. And I've got good news to share. We had a wonderful turnout on Sunday. We had lots of great food. Pledge cards were turned in. Horns were honked. Wally, Echo, and Joy, my family, were here meeting people. Great photos were taken with our portrait of Grandpa Hoagie. It was a whale of a time, and the best part was being together. You're probably wondering how the campaign is going. Have people pledged? You bet. Since we've plunged into our campaign, we have over $49,000 in pledges, more than this time last year. "41 more pledges have come in compared with this time last year. 160 households have pledged. We are now at 50% of our dollar goal. We've taken a big bite out of our goal. Starting the week of April 10th, which is this coming week, the pledge team, including board members, will be calling those households we have not heard from yet. Robin Steeman has been on the pledge committee since 2002. She told me one of the most challenging aspects of the pledge campaign is getting all the pledges in. Some people pledge early and some need more time, but the Finance Committee needs this information so they can craft our budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Ideally, you will pledge online or get your pledge in the mail today if you haven't already. We can really help our Pledge and Finance Committee do their work if we get our pledges in by April 16th. Pledging is our opportunity to help build a strong future for QUUF. Remember, where there's a whale, there's a way. Say it with me. Where there's a whale, there's a way. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiny. Wow, I'm going to miss her, right? And I'd like to give a great thanks to all the members of the Pledge campaign. Deb Carroll, Larry Morrell, Robin Steinman, Carol Graves, Peg Hunter, and Bruce Zelneritis. And to Janelle for coordinating the whole group. Give them a great big. They were working many hours. Now we'll share our joys and sorrows, recognizing that our personal joys and sorrows are only a fragment of the joys and sorrows of the larger community of life. And thus we place this first stone, thinking in particular of all those who are celebrating Passover. In Hebrew, the word Passover means to have mercy. And we celebrate with the Christians who are holding up joy this morning. And now within our congregation, tomorrow, April 10th, will be Mike Morrissey's 80th birthday. Happy birthday, Mike. Many, many more. Where are you? Yay. And now we place no sorrows this week. That's pretty good. Now we place a final stone holding in our hearts the joys and sorrows I've just shared, but also thinking of such joys and sorrows among us that are unexpressed, but of no less importance. I invite you into a moment of silence.
The reading today is from Rumi. Begin. This is now. Now is all there is. Don't wait for then. Strike the spark, light the fire. Sit at the beloved's table, feast with gusto, drink your fill. Then dance, the way branches of jasmine and cypress dance in a spring wind. The green earth is your cloth, tailor your robe with dignity and grace. Our special music today is Christian Sinding's beautiful Rustles of Spring, performed by our own Ikue Goldstein.
That was magnificent. Thank you. Transformation means a change in form. In stories, it means a shape shifter, or one who moves from one type of being to another. It implies some sort of evolution or change of consciousness. Hopefully, when we are transformed, we see things in a larger, more holistic frame. In other words, transformation is a big deal. One is visibly changed. For example, take your local snake. In my case, my yard has garter snakes. And the snake is transformed as we are by shedding our skin. Humans shed millions of skin cells every day. But snakes shed their whole body skins, sort of like taking off a sock. In the process, lets go of harmful parasites, and when the snake outgrows its skin, it needs to shed it. It's like getting new clothes every time you have a growth spurt, and letting go so that the snake can live. And I've already told you about my dear canary, Easter, who lost feather after feather during his molting season, letting go so that he could grow new feathers, so that he would have the strength to fly. Humans also have transformations, shedding old ways, especially those that no longer work for us. And transformation can happen to anyone. No matter what we did, our age, our gender, it is possible to become someone entirely new, filled with life and radiance. That, folks, is the Easter story. On Easter, we had the ultimate transformation. That of the Jesus story of moving between life to death and then to life again. Now, please, don't get stuck on the notion of bodily resurrection. That is a very literalist way of reading the Easter story. And no story is to be read that way. It's a wonderful way of explaining things on a whole different level. But we could look at transformation of spirit, of moving from one form of being human and living in this world and choosing to live another way. In other words, of choosing life over death. Easter resides in the realm of symbolic meaning, which makes it no less true. The origin of the word symbol is symbolon, literally a throwing together of different things, of purpose and experience, and moving to a new way of seeing, whether it's change, transformation, fullness of life. And that is not only for individuals, but for communities. There are many transformation stories. Perhaps you have one of your own. Look at your own spiritual journey. How did you get to QUUF? Was it running from something, or was it moving towards something that your heart was calling you to do, to speak, to hear? There are many well-known transformation stories. You could tell me many of them. Of course, Ebenezer Scrooge in the Christmas Carol, who lets go of his false self and, like peeling an onion, takes off layer after layer of armor until there he is, a newborn old man. And the tradition of Julian of Norwich, who lived through the 14th century plague. She appears to have lost her family, almost dies herself, and then is transformed into a wisdom figure. But she had a choice to accept her new role, her new awareness. I've seen this many times. People are resurrected or transformed in many ways, going through a painful choice of seeking a divorce, having a child after many years of trying to conceive, leaving a job that was soul-crushing, emerging from a pandemic, putting down the drink that is killing. We have a choice to move and change. It takes courage to shed our skin. And sometimes dreams push us forward to a new space. I loved teaching. Yet there was something calling me to ordained ministry. But why would I ever leave a job that I loved? And then Bette Midler pushed me to go to seminary. Now you may ask, how did Bette do that? Well, she came to me in a dream. She pushed herself through the floor. This is true. She pushed herself through the floor of my New York City apartment and grew from a seed into a large, swaying tree. And she had the face of Bette Midler. And as a singing and swaying tree, and by the way, she had a great voice, this swinging Bette looked at me in the eye and sang, "Hey, do it, sister, do it." Believe me, that was transformative. Who says no to Bette Midler? Each of you has a story. They're Easter stories. Did you follow a dream? Did it change you? There are a variety of symbols of transformation or change. One of the symbols of transformation and delight is the chocolate bar. And for its richness, it is almost always shaped into our Easter symbols. But the chocolate Easter bunny? The 7th century British monk, Bede, said the name came from the goddess Yoster, who was a European earth goddess who was celebrated at the very start of spring. And she had a rabbit as a consort. Well, talk about transformation. Quite a journey from being Yoster's rabbit into the chocolate treat that we have in our Easter baskets. Have you ever seen chocolate produced? In its very essence, it is an amazing act of transformation. First, look at the size of the bean. And second, this is the woman who guided me through the process of seeing how chocolate is made. And it begins with raw cacao nibs. Then the beans are roasted to kill any microbes that are not safe to eat. And roasting prepares for the fermentation process. Next comes winnowing, separating the nibs from the shell. The shell, and you've been reading about this probably lately, the shell has toxic metals, and so they must be discarded. Then the nibs are ground and then reduced to a paste called chocolate liqueur. A portion of the liqueur is pressed and produces cocoa butter. It takes 65 tons of force to press it into the butter. Wow. The product is then refined and other ingredients are added, such as sugar. A long process called conching develops the texture, and then chocolate is formulated to amounts of sugar versus nibs and is shifted to get rid of the larger particles. Chocolate then passes under magnets to eliminate any hard metals. When I lived in Cleveland, the owner of Mally's Chocolates, a much-loved Cleveland tradition, took me on a tour, and in one room there was the largest bowl, I'm trying to think, from there maybe to here, in the world as far as I was concerned, and had a huge beater in the middle of it, and it was filled with chocolate. You could swim in it, and golly, I sure wanted to. Just picture it, right? And before you get a really good piece of chocolate, it needs to age. I really like that. The older it gets, the better it is. Then it's tempered, molded, and packaged. And then it's up to us, the consumers, to check on which companies use fair trade practices. Then you can bite in. That is some transformation process, isn't it? And think how much work has gone into that process. Sometimes transformations happen like this, but in my life, I have found that they take a long period of time and work. There's a sweet book about chocolate and how it is a symbol for living life to the fullest and the transformations that we accept from becoming whole. You may have read it or heard about it. The title is Chocolate by Joanne Harris. And Harris pictures a very pain priest whose whole idea of God is denial of the flesh. He's horrified when a woman Vian moves into his parish during Lent and opens a chocolate shop directly across from the church. And little by little, Vian and her chocolates take on the pastoral care of the parish as people come into the shop seeking advice, needing tenderness, a bit of sweetness to help them pass through hard times. And the priest becomes infuriated when Vian organizes a chocolate festival to take place on, of all days, Easter. He sees this as a direct affront to the solemnity and sacredness of the day, so he plots to break into her store, masked and armed with a cudgel, and overturns her chocolates, as Jesus would have to the money changers in the temple. So here's the theme. He breaks into her store at 5 o'clock on Easter morning, and he states, I quote, "Very gently, I pull aside the film of paper that covers the window. It comes away with a small ripping sound, and I lay it aside. My torchlight illuminates the display, and for a moment I almost forget why I'm here. It's an amazing gift of riches. Marzipan flowers and mountains of loose chocolates in all shapes and colors, and rabbits, ducks, hens, chicks, lambs, gazing out at me with merry, grave chocolate eyes, like the terracotta armies of ancient China. The smell of chocolate is overwhelming, the rich, fleshy scent of it that drags down the throat in an exquisite trail of sweetness. Try me, test me, taste me." The sound gets even louder than ever. Try me, test me, taste me. No one be any wiser. Try me, test me, taste, why not? I will take the first thing that falls beneath my fingers, a single chocolate. Oh, that's not theft. And the names are entrancing: bitter or orange cracknel, apricot marzipan roll, white rum ruffle. I take a piece and hold it under my nose. It smells of cream and vanilla. No, right? I realize that I have not eaten chocolate since I was a boy. The taste leaves me moaning. I try another after that, telling myself that it will not matter. I linger over the names: 3-nut cluster, Eastern journey, a slice of peace sliver on chocolate. It is like one of my dreams. I roll in chocolates. I imagine myself in a field of chocolates, on a beach of chocolates, and then it is 6 o'clock. The sound of the church bells jangles me out of enchantment. I find myself sitting on the floor, spilled chocolates around me as if I have indeed rolled in them. I turn, and there is Vian waiting for me, watching me from behind the beaded curtain. And a tiny smile curves her lips. Very gently, she takes the cudgel from my hand, and this time, the church bells are ringing. End of quote. In this delightful novel, a man who has no attachment to this earth, who expects to find God through negation of the body, encounters in his own brokenness the pleasure of the delight of the very enfleshment of the divine, and he hears the bells calling him into a new way of seeing, being, and loving. And the poor man in the story needed to see the goodness in the small pleasures of our life. The pain of the story: the man cannot face the pleasure that he experienced, and he runs away. He's not ready for the transformation of his beliefs or of his principles. But I question that. Is it true? I mean, he has eaten the chocolate. Easter is all about allowing ourselves to be transformed, to drop off the dead parts of ourselves, opening ourselves to new adventures. Or we can close our eyes and plug our ears so that nothing new comes in, that we do not grow. It may feel okay for a time, but what about that organic potential that is lost forever? And what about our dreams? We are in a time of transformation. New things are being born. Some of us can be in personal transformation. Certainly our culture is. And QUUF, we are awash in change. In the world, What we thought was stable, our government, our earth, our church, have all felt tremors of great change. And part of it has been painful. And yet we know that to survive in a healthy, life-affirming way, we need to transform not only ourselves, but the larger world community. It would be death if we always stayed in the same place. Yet some of us balk at the idea of change. Did you know that the word balk means a ridge that is left unplowed? That means that nothing can grow there. And how about our chocolate? Does everybody have their piece? Is there anyone that, okay, take it out, folks. Is anyone who doesn't have one? Okay. They're coming. Our wonderful ushers are getting us the chocolate. There's 3 kinds: milk chocolate, dark chocolate, and sugar-free chocolate. State what you want. How did you pass not taking the chocolate? I've just taken a lot of it. Don't eat it yet. You'll turn into a toad or something. I don't know what, fairy tales, what do you become? Everybody? We all set? Oh no, there's some folks up here. So everyone, open it up. Place it on your tongue, savor it, and do not bite it. I read that men bite chocolate. Women don't bite it. Savor it. You can close your eyes. I'm going to ring the bell, and you just let that chocolate melt. If it's still melting, don't chew it. With transformation can come healing and wholeness and perhaps pure pleasure. May it be so, folks. You are now all warmly invited to join together in our flower communion ceremony. The flowers represent the bonds of our community and the new life and beauty they bring to each of us. Please come forward and gather a flower from the offerings that you brought in before the service. Our kind ushers will show you the way. My understanding is you go around here, come pick a flower, and if you have a neighbor who couldn't come to the service this morning, you can pick up a flower for, well, if there's enough, maybe you better wait to the end. If there's some, come on up and pick them up for your neighbors.
Next year we start with the back row, right? Our closing song is hymn number 98, The Loveliest of Trees. Please stand as you are willing or able.
Loveliest of trees, the cherry now is hung with bloom along the bough, and stands about the woodland bride, wearing white for Eastertide. Now of my 80 years and 10, 20 will not come again, and take from 70 springs a score, leaving me just 50 more. And since to look at things in bloom, 50 springs are little room. About the woodlands I will go, sing the cherry on with snow.
So how many years do we have? Please join us in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish our flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, or the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Next week, Bruce Bodie will be speaking on the topic In Quest of Living Religion. We hope you can join us. And as we go into the fellowship hall, there is a box for you to vote for your favorite hat. A bell will ring, and we will gather to announce the prize winner. And oh, what a prize it is. Our postlude today features a lovely hummingbird dancing to the vaccinated voices jubilant, Sing and Rejoice. Enjoy.
Sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice, 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 let all things living now sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice. Sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice, 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 let all things living now sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice. Sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice, 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 let all things living now sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice.